Cincinnati's 0-2 for the second straight season, but Joe Burrow aggravated his calf injury, the same one that kept him out of most of training camp. Part of me says it's the Bengals' big deal. This is what the Bengals do. They start off slow, they put it together. But if Joe Burrow can't get right and he hasn't really looked good, this could be one of those seasons that just breaks the wrong way for Cincinnati. As the kids would say, you talk about how aesthetic is used all the time, so is vibes. The vibes aren't good for Cincinnati right now.
It doesn't feel like they're panicking yet, though, because remember the start of the season when there are questions about Joe Burrow coming back and starting? Everybody on the team said, you know what, bro, don't come back. Wait a couple games.
Yeah.
Didn't Jamar Chase say that? Said, please take a couple games off. We don't need you now. We need you later. But in the AFC, it feels like you should probably be worried, right? Because in maybe the NFC, you can get away with this. But in the AFC, where maybe home field doesn't matter quite as much to the Bengals because they've done it, they have won some big games on the road. But still, do you really want to go on the road to like Kansas City again and try to beat the Chiefs at their own house when you have the lower seed? Yeah. I don't think so. So I think the urgency probably needs to be there. It reminds me of the Golden State Warriors. Remember how they're like, yeah, we'll get better once the postseason rolls around. Right. We can't win a game on the road, but whatever, we'll figure it out. Yeah, they didn't figure it out, and they didn't win a title. So I think you're right. I think the urgency needs to set in for Cincinnati, but Joe Burrow does not look 100%. I think that's the takeaway. And the biggest red flag is that you can tell us all you want in the post-game press conferences, but Joe Burrow does not look 100%. Like, it has to be emotionally draining being a Chargers fan. Imagine every single season, so many people picking your quarterback to win the MVP. So many people saying, oh, this is the year that the Chargers finally get their stuff together. And then what do you know? It doesn't pan out. Are we ready to give up on the Chargers as being like a team that can contend for the Super Bowl yet? Like, you see them play, and they have some great pieces. I don't think I'm ready to give up, but like, at what point do we give up?
It's early now in the NFL. It's a weird balance, right? Because you see this team start 0-2 and you start freaking out, but when you get into 0-3 territory, and you're all of a sudden you're rolling the dice on 0-4, then you can be really out of it. At some point, yes, it is early, but you do have to win. I think the Chargers are fine because, first of all, they lost to two teams that are not in their division, in the Dolphins and the Titans, and those are two very good teams. The Bengals just don't look right to me. And so I would like to say that Cincy is the best 0-2 team based on what we saw last year, but they've lost two division games. They don't look good. Joe Burrow doesn't look good, and I don't think he's healthy right now. And that's going to be a big problem moving forward. Vikings, get out of town. I mean, that's not even a part of the conversation for me. I think the Vikings are a bad team. Are they going to go winless? No. But I think the Chargers are the better team, at least compared to the Bengals.
Yeah, I think a lot of it for the Bengals depends on if Joe Burrow can get back to 100%. Because I don't think Joe Burrow is a bad quarterback, or I don't think he's the bad quarterback that we've seen in the past 2 weeks. And I think most people know that. And it just feels like the Bengals are a team that are fully comfortable with being the underdog once the postseason rolls around. Like, if they can turn things around and just get into the postseason, don't you feel like that is the one team in the AFC that people probably do not want to face, even as the higher seed? We've seen it this week. Overs have been back with a vengeance. Yeah. Overs in week 2 of the NFL went 12-2. So it's kind of the meeting of two trends. We see overs be really hot in week 2 because the correction from the unders being so hot in week 1, but also prime time unders. This is a trend that we've been playing like every year on the show, and it's been hitting over the past 4 years. Prime time unders hitting at about a 60% clip. The updated tally stands at 125-80 prime time unders over the past 4 seasons in the NFL. So this is a bankable trend. And it does line up with these two teams and these two injuries, but also you are playing an extremely low number. Anything under 40 like makes me a little nervous because you can have a really low scoring game, but yet it can still hit the over. And we do need to talk about some of the Steelers injuries. Deontay Johnson out for this one. And the other trend to watch is teams who play the 49ers the week after last season were winless with the exception of the Kansas City Chiefs. So when you play the 49ers, it's like a physical fight where you get beat up, punched in the mouth, and some guys will be left on the injured list. So usually teams the week after facing the Niners do not do so hot. But again, the Steelers are the team that feels like the sharp money is on. Is there anything else you like in this game before we move on to the Panthers and the Saints?
I will say I just like the under quite a bit. And you mentioned primetime unders, and I know that was not a winner this weekend. But again, over the past 4 years, primetime unders hitting at about a 60% clip. So that would be my lean, even though this total continues to come down. It's just one of those games where I wish I'd gotten it earlier in the week.
Jenks, can you hold your nose and take the Panthers here?
I think I can. Now, will I officially? Probably not. I don't necessarily think I want to bet on this game, but I like the Panthers here. I like the Panthers +3. We've seen a ton of money. Most of the handle now come in on the Saints. Before it was more of a pros versus shows split, but now money keeps coming in on New Orleans. I would wait, and maybe you can get this at 3.5. If I'm going to play it, I don't think it goes down to 2.5. I think it goes to 3.5, and then I would jump on the Panthers. Last week against the Titans, the Saints they got the win, full credit, but also they got a lot of help from Ryan Tannehill. As you know, 3 interceptions in that game. And I think what happens here is your sabotage factor is Bryce Young not stepping up, having one of those rookie games. But Frank Reich, I believe, will have a plan in place to slow this game down. This is another low total, and then have Bryce Young make plays when he needs to, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over on a Monday night in Charlotte, home opener in a division where it's just not a great division. And the Saints haven't proven anything just yet. Escaping against the Titans after that game in week 1 didn't really prove anything to me. They're still coming together on offense as well. So, yeah, give me the Panthers +3.
Whew, that makes me nervous because it still is the Panthers, and it still is Bryce Young, who is fully capable of throwing a couple of picks here to a secondary that, on paper did record 3 interceptions against my Tennessee Titans. I think the play for me is taking a prop play on Jamal Williams, running back for the New Orleans Saints, because not only did he get the target share in week 1, we also know Alvin Kamara is still out. He is suspended for the Saints. And also, this should be an easier matchup than going against the Titans' run defense. Last game, he only ran for 45 yards, but got 18 attempts. But this is a Panthers defense that just gave up over 5 yards a carry to both Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson last time around. So, they didn't give up a ton of yards, but the yards per carry were there.
Who is your Monday MVP?
I'm going with the kicker. How about that? Yeah, Harrison Mevis. Look, Micah Parsons is a straight-up beast. That guy just dominates games, so I was very tempted to go with him. He's unbelievable. That said, I congratulate Harrison Mevis for a couple reasons. First of all, 61 yards at any level, especially when you're going for a huge upset at home. This is Missouri we're talking about. The pressure involved in a kick like that is immense. And also, his coaches did him 0 favors. This was supposed to be a 56-yard field goal, which is still an incredibly long field goal when you're talking about the accuracy of college kickers. And what do the coaches do? They lose track of time, and they draw a delay of game penalty. So imagine you're thinking, all right, 56 yards. I can do this. I can do this. I can be a hero. I can do this. 56 yards. And then you see a flag, and you're like, 61 yards? I'm already at sort of the maximum of what my leg strength can push through here, and he still knocks it through from 61. Time to give the kicker some credit. Harrison Mevis, Missouri MVP.
Mevis. What a last name. Mevis. Sounds like he would be on the robotics team. But no, he is the MVP of your weekend, at least for us here at the Daily Tip, for me and Jenks. Because how many times have you uttered the phrase, college kickers, man, and it not been a positive tone? Imagine all the games that Alabama could have won if they would have just had a decent kicker. In the ranks of college, kickers are not expected to do a whole lot. There has been times when games have been lost on 35-yard field goals that have been missed. So the fact that this kid drills a 61-yard field goal under pressure for the game winner, That is a big deal, my friend. So Harrison Mevis, MVP of the weekend for me. Congratulations, Mevis.